Episode 3 of Pieces of Her begins with Laura ready to go live on TV. This is a ploy to reach out to the man looking to hurt her, as she mentions to the producer that she wants to stop anyone from getting hurt. It seems to work too, as the man who's after her watches the broadcast. Laura talks about a truce and an army for change. Later that afternoon, a businessman appears before Laura, questioning why she's speaking to the press. He offers safety and support outside the country, but she refuses. At least until he mentions seeing Andy on the news. This rattles Laura a little, as he tells her to think about it. Meanwhile, Andy waits out until morning before deciding to take a shortcut into town. That includes going by foot, through the woods to a car dealership. Using the cash from Laura's suitcase, she hands over enough to buy a car and hurriedly skips out, especially when she notices a suspicious-looking car nearby. Ignoring her mother's instructions, Andy phones Charlie and heads over to his place. She admits to everything that's happened so far, including the paranoia regarding secrets Laura has been keeping. Andy even begins to question whether the shadowy men could be working with Jerry, her father. Unfortunately, midway through talking, Charlie mentions Carrollton, but alarm bells immediately ring for her. After all, Andy never actually mentioned where she was going. While he's out the room, Andy finds photos in the drawer that reinforces her concerns, numerous photos of him happily married. When she asks him about it, he lies and claims he never has. This is enough for Andy to hurriedly leave, driving away as quickly as she can. Andy rings Gordon from a payphone and demands answers. She wants to know what Laura is hiding and just who Charlie actually is. After a pause, Gordon admits that Charlie does have some secrets but calmly explains that this is complicated, unwilling to elaborate further. Realizing she's not going to get any straight answers from him either, Andy hangs up the phone and decides to set out and discover the truth herself. Part of that comes from checking Wikipedia, where she learns Paula is actually behind bars for murdering influential tycoons. She was part of this army of the changing world we've been hearing about too. According to this article, the group was formed in the mid-1980s by a guy called Nick Hart. She's currently held up at Coswell Prison. Laura soon rings as Andy questions her mother's lies. Given the fake IDs and the money, Andy believes Laura had no intention of leaving with her daughter. Despite agreeing to meet her, Laura is stopped on the road by two cars, which surround the car and stop her. Andy doesn't try to meet Laura though, instead heading off to a law firm to try and find a way to talk to Geraldine Ross, the lawyer in charge of the Paula Cundy case. Getting nowhere with the receptionist, she instead slips up the stairs undetected and heads into the bathroom. She finds one of the women, Sheila Scott, and steals her wallet. Out in the parking lot, Jack manages to break into Andy's trunk, where he finds the suitcase of money and remains fixated on tailing her. Andy is too preoccupied with the next step of her plan though, and that involves assuming Sheila's identity to break back into the law firm.